All right, thanks everybody for joining us today. We're about to enter into a stretch of a couple of perfSONAR talks in a row, and we wanted to feature one that was talking about a current event first. So Antoine from the perfSONAR project is here to give us a bit of a briefing about a workshop that was held last week. This is the second European perfSONAR user workshop. The first one was held in 2019, back in MeetSpace when we were all able to meet each other and see each other in person. This one was held virtually, and it was just a chance for the European community, and as well as a lot of hopefully participants from other countries as well, to get together and talk about use cases and best practices and feature requests. So Antoine has graciously given us his time. I know that it's late where he is right now, to go over what was talked about in that workshop and to give us a little bit of an update. So Antoine, I will throw it over to you.
All right, thank you, Jason. Thank you for inviting me to present on your webinars or presentation series. And thank you to allow as well the GEANT project to participate to these talks. So I'll start by sharing my screen. Can you all see that?
Yep, we're good.
All right. So as you said, Jason, I'm going last week. We held the second European perfSONAR user workshop online. It was a follow-up event to the one we organized 2 years ago. And it was quite successful and interesting. And today I'm going to try to give you a summary of the workshop, of the different areas and topics we discussed, and some of the also relate to you some of the questions and some of the participation that we've seen, and trying to get as well your view on that, and to have more feedback for us perfSONAR developers to go forward and to help us build a better product in the future. So we had about the workshop, we had about 70 participants on during the 2 days, coming from different organizations and different parts of the world. Although it was titled the European perfSONAR User Workshop, but we had users and developers from America as well. We structured the workshop so that the first day of presentations was dedicated to users, and to users to share their experience using perfSONAR. And we hope in this way to give ideas and ideas about innovative way of using perfSONAR, or for other to be able to look at conclusions about performance on different networks than the one that people are usually exposed to. And the second day of the workshop was more the developer point of view. So we wanted to have a space where developer could show what they are currently working on, and to collect feedback from the users to know in which direction future development should happen, and what perfSONAR users are most interested in. So first, today I'm going to give you a quick recap of the different presentations that we had. We started the workshop with an update on where perfSONAR is nowadays and what has changed in the last couple of years. So that's where we talked and presented the features that you probably already know about the latest release of perfSONAR. So from release 4.2 to the 4.3.4 that we released last month. So we detailed a bit of that. We also welcomed a new partner in the perfSONAR collaboration. So the collaboration project is where the 6 different partners now are investing time and effort to develop perfSONAR. So the new partner is RNP, the Brazilian Research and Education Network, and it's quite exciting that they joining or actually rejoined the collaboration, because they were involved with perfSONAR since nearly the beginning of the project as well, but then they left during a few years and developed their own solutions. But now they are coming back with some strong experience with containers and different ways of using perfSONAR, and they detailed all that during the workshop, and that was quite interesting. And that means as well that we'll be able to bring this experience into the perfSONAR tools, to the perfSONAR products in the future. And also, yes, you probably know all that already, but we have a new perfSONAR website, we have a new logo. And also importantly, we have still the good and great number of different perfSONAR deployments around the world, which is a number of deployments that is actually stabilizing. So we have a bit more than 2,000 deployments in many different countries. And lately, so the last years, we've seen a more distributed deployments, let's say, with deployments in nearly all the continents except Antarctica, of course. There's no research and education network there yet, but that's good to see that that we have still very strong perfSONAR deployments, and that means that you as users can do a lot of different measurements and can debug a lot of performance issues on your network and to the networks of your partners in different parts of the world. So yeah, a big thank you to all perfSONAR users to make that possible. So here's a short another way of looking at the recent history of perfSONAR. So that's a timeline that we post and that we regularly update on our website, where all the new releases are shown and displayed, and that with that we can see that we keep the regular pace and of releases and of updating perfSONAR with one major release every year. That's the target we aim for every year, and we also had 6 minor releases in the past year, which were mostly bug fixes and security fixes as well. And so it's probably also worth mentioning now that if you're still on an old version of perfSONAR, it's time to upgrade, because we are not maintaining the old version, and we want users to update regularly. So let's go back to the workshop and to a review of the presentation that we had. So as I said on the first day, we discussed different use cases presented by users directly. So we had a talk from Janet, the research and education network in the United Kingdom, that discussed debugging a performance issue on the Atlas project network. That was on a very long link between Hawaii and Belfast, and there were some interesting findings there. But that when lag are involved in links in our network, it sometimes bring performance issues that are very specific, and so this was discussed in this talk. So all the I want to say also that all the talks that are presented here are listed on the wiki page of the workshop. So if you want to have a closer look at those presentations, because obviously I cannot go into all the details of the 2 days workshop during a 1 hour presentation now, but you're invited to go to the wiki and download the presentation to know more about that. We also had a presentation from ASNet, Research and Education Network in Armenia, that discussed the challenge in deploying perfSONAR, but most of all in analyzing the perfSONAR, the data that's collected with perfSONAR. We had a discussion about T1 measurements being done in the GEANT core network. And what was interesting about that one is that the T1 measurements were between perfSONAR nodes and Juniper routers that were acting as T1 reflectors. And so that means that you increase the number of potential targets that exist with perfSONAR and with latency measurements. RNP presented some of their experience with perfSONAR, with containers and using perfSONAR for secret validation, and they have some interesting development that are coming in the next perfSONAR version to help with that. Indiana University and their EPOC team presented some more a use case of using perfSONAR to debug performance issues between networks, sometimes just at national level or regional level, but also on international links. And this was very interesting use cases of perfSONAR. And then to close the day on this first day, we had a presentation that showed a step-by-step guide of how you can deploy and set up a central management server for perfSONAR in some very easy steps to follow. So that was on the first day. And then on the second day, we had some developers from the perfSONAR development team present some services and some new features that they're currently working on. So we had a presentation from GEANT team that runs the PMP service, which stands for a performance measurement platform that's run out of perfSONAR small nodes that are running on bricks hardware and also Raspberry Pi, with a lot of automation and different types of measurements. It's probably a perfSONAR measurement mesh where we have a lot of diversity amongst different measurement types that you can have with perfSONAR. So that was interesting for that. And this team is also now looking at trying to see what other interesting facts we can find in the perfSONAR data that has been collected in the past month, and looking at how machine learning and artificial intelligence can potentially help us in the future to debug our networks and to find the reasons for interesting performance issue we sometimes face. Then there were two interesting presentations about doing some development on pscheduler, but development that we as perfSONAR development team want to make it accessible and available to you users. So if you have new measurements IDs, those or new measurement type that you would like to be able to run with perfSONAR, there are some ways of developing plugins for pscheduler. And we had a demonstration of that from Sonet from Sweden that developed a .1x authentication plugin that is working with WPA supplicant and Greylog to collect some interesting information on network switches and access points, and to validate that those switches and access point on a campus network are working as expected. And then Mark Fate, an Internet to perfSONAR developer, presented a guide and a software development toolkit kit to help you develop new plugins for pscheduler. Then we had some more presentation about development and specific use case that relates to campus network monitoring, again by Sonet, where they explained how they used this .1x authentication plugin they developed, and with a very specific use case as well, where the National Research and Education from Sweden is actually running the operations center for some universities in their country, and said they rely a lot on automation and wanted to integrate perfSONAR as part of their solution to make sure that the performance on those networks that they need to monitor is actually good and as expected. We also had a good talk from University of Michigan presenting a hardware and software and configuration solution, and also some automation with that for a 10 gigabit per second perfSONAR mobile tester that's running on some hardware that's not too expensive, and that you can easily deploy and bring with you on in your network in different physical location, so to test the performance really as seen by the users directly from their desktop, directly from their offices or their labs. So this was most of the presentation we had on the second day of the workshop. And then we also had two other presentation where we invited a participant of the workshop to give their feedback. So one thing we as perfSONAR developers were interested in having feedback about is about the operating systems support, and on which system you can run perfSONAR, because there has been a bit of changes recently, and you probably know about that. So perfSONAR as it is now is running on CentOS, and that's a platform that we support for a long time already. And for a few years, we also support running perfSONAR on Debian and Ubuntu, and some derivatives of that. But recently, some news surfaced and affected the way we are doing perfSONAR development, and probably the way you'll be doing perfSONAR deployment in the future. So as you probably know, CentOS, we have at the moment CentOS 7 that we support as our main platform for perfSONAR development and deployment, but with an end of life that is due some years in the future. And there was after CentOS 7, Red Hat already Red Hat and the community supporting CentOS already released CentOS 8. But as we now know, CentOS 8 is not going to be supported as for a long period of time, or for as long as it was initially going to be supported by Red Hat. Yeah, you know that it's because Red Hat has been bought by IBM, and then IBM decided that the release schedule of CentOS will change, and the way CentOS is built out of Fedora is changing. So in the past, we had this the development of CentOS or rather of Red Hat happening in a distribution that's called Fedora, and CentOS was rebuilt by the community directly out of the sources of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. But what IBM changes has been to move CentOS and actually to discontinue CentOS 8 and to call it now CentOS Stream, and to have it not as a byproduct of Red Hat or as a coming after the development of Red Hat, but rather coming before it. So that means essentially that CentOS is becoming the beta program for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and this is not what we want to have as a platform to deploy and to develop perfSONAR. We want to have a stable and production level OS that we need to rely on. So we know that we have to change that. So we are currently looking at alternatives, and some people in the development team actually tried out different Linux operating systems that are running the same package manager as Red Hat, so the RPM package management system. And we looked at the differences between those releases and the pro and the cons. And it seems some releases seems better than other, and Alma Linux, for example, is one that is standing out. But still, we don't want to take a decision about this change too quickly, and we'd like to make it based on knowledge and on feedback that we'd like to have from the perfSONAR community, from you perfSONAR users. So during the workshop last week, we ran a small poll to try to collect this feedback, to have a better feeling of what perfSONAR users think about this issue, and what are their ideas. And so I'd like to also to collect your feedback here in the session today about the same set of questions. But before going into that, let me also just present you what the other operating system we support, or the other family of operating system we support for perfSONAR, which is Debian and Ubuntu. So at the moment, as we support CentOS 7, we also support Debian 9, Ubuntu 16, and Ubuntu 18. So this is all detailed in our website and in our documentation material. You have the different manuals that are available to install these systems. And we also brought recently support for Debian 10, but only for the test point at this moment. Because the backend that we use for perfSONAR Esmond is very difficult to port to newer and more recent operating systems like Debian 10 and Ubuntu 20. But for perfSONAR 5.0 that I'll be presenting you shortly as well today, we are looking at having a wider support with Debian and Ubuntu. So that's what we have for Debian and Ubuntu at the moment. But like I said, for Red Hat derived system, we want to have a bit more information from you to make a choice about it. So for that, I have prepared a small poll that we that will run now. So you can just take another device as your phone or a tablet or a browser, and go to this website, menti.com. So I will also share my another screen with you now to show you that directly. Yes, like this. So if you go to menti.com and you use the codes that's displayed here on the screen, so 83953459, there'll be some questions for you to answer, and through which we'll have a better understanding or another point of view of what are the different operating systems that are being used at the moment, and where is your interest as users. So unsurprisingly, I would say CentOS 7 comes as a majority of deployment currently. It's also interesting to see that some of you are running perfSONAR on unsupported OS. That's well, I guess that's good as well. And Ubuntu 18, there is some interest in it as well. That's good. I'll wait. Yeah, I'm not sure how many answers we're looking at. But if I don't see any more answers coming in, I will go to the next question. So if the first question was about on which OS you deploy perfSONAR in your organization, but now if we look at the other servers and machines that exist in your organization and that are probably maintained by the same IT team or by the same set of people that are maintaining servers in your organization, we would also like to know what are the most common used platform there, because usually it's easier in an organization to have not not too many different platforms to have supported. So if we can align the perfSONAR OS requirements with what we see is used more generally in your organization, that will help us make a choice as well. So we see that CentOS is still a platform that's used a lot at the moment. So maybe this is something that will change in the future. We will see. So thank you for your answers, and then let's continue with yet another question. So if you're using CentOS, and most of you are using it at the moment, have you already thought about a replacement solution, and what would it be in that case? So Debian 10, yeah. So yeah, some will move away from CentOS by going to Red Hat, which totally makes sense. And yeah, as we've seen already, yes, some organizations haven't decided yet, and it's still news that are recent, are fresh. So and CentOS 7 is going to be supported for 3 more years. So it's not as urgent as it might seem to move away from it. But it's interesting to know what you are thinking, or what your organization is thinking to move forward. And one last question: if you can answer openly without any limitation, what would be your preferred OS choice for perfSONAR yourself? What you would like to run perfSONAR on? Yeah, in containers, that's an interesting point of view, and this is something we as perfSONAR developers are also considering. Yes. So yeah, that's good. Thank you all for your answers. I will leave the poll open, so if some of you are joining later, or want to answer some more, you can go ahead. But now I'll take back my original presentation and follow up with my talk to give you a brief overview of the perfSONAR roadmap for this year and what we are looking at. So if we're looking at a big change this year, because we have some technical depth in the backend of perfSONAR, where we store all the perfSONAR measurement data. So as you know, we use a tool that's called Desmond, and it's currently shows its limits, and we have a hard time maintaining it and moving it to newer and more recent platform and components. So we decided to move away from Esmond and to work with more common components that are already used a lot in our community, so namely Elasticsearch and Logstash. So that will also remove from us developers the burden of maintaining too many different components, and we hope that with that we can focus more on the places and the components that really brings value to perfSONAR. And we have already some experience of that because we've been in touch with some large perfSONAR deployment communities that are already storing their perfSONAR data in this kind of platform. And what we'd like also to do with that is opening up the possibilities for new visualization options. So if we're looking more in details of what will be happening this year, you can expect from us some minor releases in the perfSONAR 4 series in the coming month. But the support for this new backend will come with perfSONAR 5 in a few months, or probably by fall this year. So we'll be bringing a new backend, but we also want this to not alter too much the way you know perfSONAR and the way you're working with perfSONAR. So if you have perfSONAR integrated already with other tools and you're using the Esmond API, we will provide you with an Esmond API compatibility layer. So all the existing tools will continue to work even with this new version. And we also be opening up new visualization possibilities with Grafana, for example. If we put that in a timeline, so this spring we'll have perfSONAR 4.4. Then during the summer, a beta release of perfSONAR 5, and hopefully in fall we'll be able to have the final release of perfSONAR 5. And then from then on, we'll be able to provide new visualization options and possibilities to integrate perfSONAR data and perfSONAR dashboard in different monitoring solutions that you probably already have in your networks, and to be able to work with perfSONAR data with other monitoring data alongside, and compare different metrics with perfSONAR metrics and things like that. So feature requests that we've heard for a long time, sometimes for some years, and that we are finally looking at. But yeah, let's continue and going back with to the workshop that we held last week, and looking as well to the recommendations. So can we draw some conclusions from the workshop? What are the outcomes that are interesting? And this is where I would like to involve you here on this call today as well. So here are 8 recommendations and suggestions that we distilled from the workshop last week, and for which we wanted to have feedback from the workshop participants, but also from you today, you that probably didn't have the chance to attend the workshop. So these are 8 clear recommendations that we extracted from the workshop, and we also grouped them into 4 different teams, improvement teams, that were already improvement teams that we saw as patterns in the first workshop. So it is around documentation, it is around automation to have easier setup and less maintenance. It's around visualization options for perfSONAR, and it's about us developers having more engagement with you, the users. So for that, I will go back to Mentimeter and continue the poll, and asking you to provide some more answers because we're interested in having again more information. So let's continue and have a look at these 8 or 7 recommendations that we extracted from the workshop. So if you as perfSONAR users are presented this list of recommendations, how would you prioritize them, or what are the ones that are more interesting, more appealing to you? So we have one that's about improving documentation. We have another one that's about layer 2 measurements. We have a third one that's about perfSONAR measurements data analysis, probably with automation and artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have some proposed improvements and feature requests for monitoring Wi-Fi with perfSONAR solutions. We had a talk that explained that doing T1 measurements with perfSONAR, but 2 other perfSONAR devices, but also 2 perfSONAR routers was something very nice to have, and that opened up more possibilities for latency measurements. We had this talk about .1x authentication tests and the development of a new plugin for perfSONAR. And as well, this plugin and other developments that are currently being done around perfSONAR are about monitoring BSS IDs on switches and access points. So in all of that, what is your interest? Let's say. So the list seems to be stabilizing to around two winners. So the first one would be more data analysis of perfSONAR measurements and improvement to the documentation. So that's about the same feedback we got from the workshop last week. With, I think, the improvement to the documentation being the first one in the workshop last week. And so now let's go to a second question. If we group those improvements and those feature requests and in 4 different teams, what is your view on the priority of these teams? So you as users, where would you like us developers invest time and effort in the future, in the coming month, in the coming years, so that we bring you value, that we improve the perfSONAR solutions that we support, that we provide you, and that we support with you. So should we invest more time and effort into improving our documentation, or should we invest more time in automation solutions to help set up deployments and maintenance? Or should we focus more on improving MatDash and dashboards and visualization possibilities for perfSONAR? So I'm not sure why this graphic is not updating. It seems there are some answers, but the graph is not updating here. And the last item in this list of improvement teams is, do you want us to engage more with you, with workshop, with webinars, with maybe on the mailing list, or in different ways we can engage with you? So yeah, I'm not sure why this, no, sorry. Oh, okay, now going back and forth shows us this. So yes, you today, the audience today, you are more interested with us in investing time and effort in in making the setup and the maintenance easier, and then as a second choice to improving the documentation and the help we provide you. Thank you all for your feedback. It's a very valuable feedback for us, the development team, and this is for sure things that we'll be considering going forward. So again, I will stop sharing this screen and start sharing back my presentation to finish the presentation. So yeah, if we want to have some question and answers, I will quickly skim through this last slide. So because I already talked and discussed a bit about that. So this is the feedback we received last week during the workshop. So the answers were a bit different from today, but not too different. So as you see, it's also documentation and perfSONAR data analysis that were the two most favored recommendation from the workshop last week, and actually the four different teams came out in the same order as today. So that's good that a different group, a different set of perfSONAR users have similar view on where we should invest our efforts. So at least we'll not be fighting each other on deciding where we need to work on, what we need to work on. And so to finish this talk, I want to also to quickly say that perfSONAR is a community, and there are different ways that you can be involved, and we try to organize different types of events. So thanks to Jason, we'll have two more talks in the coming weeks that are centered about on perfSONAR, and one is about pscheduler and the other one is about the lookup service. There is also another perfSONAR user workshop that's organized in the United States in the month of June by Indiana University and University of Michigan. So I invite you to join them in June, and you're also invited to see two presentations that we'll have at TNC 21 later this year. If you want to be in touch with us, or you want to contribute to perfSONAR, these are links you can use and you can refer to. We have the website, the documentation website, the mailing list that you probably know already. We have a YouTube channel where we collect a lot of recordings about past webinars, past workshop and presentations. And we also welcome all your contribution in terms of feature requests, bug reports, or even pull requests if you have, how to solve some bugs. We welcome all that on our GitHub space. So with that, I want to thank all the presenters that participated to the workshop last week, and to thank all the participants. And now to open up the floor to questions and answers that you have today.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Antoine, for going through that, and thanks to everybody who participated in the various polls that we were doing today. I think that gives a lot of useful information for the project for forward planning. So there were a couple of questions, but we answered them as you were talking. It sounds like there will be some videos from the workshop posted, and Ivana is working to get those finalized and posted to the GEANT wiki page. And then also we had one person note that they have a requirement to use a FIPS certified, not necessarily FIPS compliant OS on their Science DMZ. So that's one case where going from CentOS going towards Red Hat benefits them versus Red Hat going towards CentOS. So that'll be probably a decision that a lot of people have to make. Were there any other sort of useful bits of feedback that you received from the European community this last time? Did anybody suggest any interesting directions that perfSONAR can go with regards to different measurements, or were there any sort of other useful discussions that came out of the workshop that you'd be willing to share?
So clearly the area of trying to extract more knowledge out of perfSONAR measurement data is a team that interested a lot of people, and including the perfSONAR steering committee, because we had an interesting call and discussion with them this week, actually. So this is an area that we would like to investigate in the future, and that we think interesting thing can be done. So currently there is a research project in by one of the developer that's involved in the GEANT project, as a first research effort on perfSONAR data. So we'll see what comes out of that, but yes, this is an area of interest. What else can I mention?
Well, I have another slightly leading question. There's been talk in the past about trying to bring back something similar to NDT, sort of a user-facing tool that could be invoked via the web browser. Was there any discussion about that, or positioning from the project on if that would be something to support in the future?
Yes, well, this was mentioned as well, and actually it was mentioned by RNP that are now rejoining the perfSONAR collaboration. So RNP has a solution where they deploy perfSONAR on a container, and on a different container, but on the same hardware, they actually deploy NDT and the latest version of NDT, and they have some good results out of that. And it's actually a solution that they are using as a production solution to at the same time validate their access link and troubleshoot performance issue on and through their access link, but as well to enable users on their network to test their bandwidth and their network connection speed thanks to NDT. So that's we don't have an official statement about that as the perfSONAR project at the moment, but knowing that now we have an official perfSONAR partner that has that as a working solution, this is potentially something the RNP will be able to contribute in the future. And if it's the case, we'll definitely share that with the perfSONAR community. Yes.
Okay. And we do have a question that came in from Sal. What was the OS more people in Europe were migrating to post CentOS 7 and 8? So what was the biggest answer to your questions during the workshop regarding that?
So I think
it looks like Ubuntu is the biggest one there.
Yeah. But also the don't know yet or no decision yet was a common one too.
Yeah, and that's, I think a lot of people are waiting to see what happens with other major projects. I see, waiting for certain decision is also a rather large item in that list. So yeah. With a 2-year or 3-year runway at this point. I guess there's time. I mean, this is just Jason's personal opinion, and since Jason doesn't represent perfSONAR anymore, I don't mind giving it. Waiting is not the worst thing in the world to figure out what goes on. Like, you want to do it right. You don't necessarily want to do it fast. So certainly things will shake out in the next 6 to 9 months, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll put out one more last call for questions if anybody has them, but I'll thank Antoine again for your time. And if you can send along these slides and to me, I'll make sure that they get posted along with the video. And then I'll make sure I also send the video off to you guys so that you can put it on the GEANT YouTube channel and the perfSONAR YouTube channel.
Well, thank you very much, Jason, for inviting me and inviting the GEANT project to present. It's good to be in touch with the perfSONAR community, the perfSONAR users all around the world, and that brings us interesting knowledge to know what to work on in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually commenting to somebody when I saw that timeline slide. The original project goes all the way back to 2004, and I can remember being in the same room with you in probably 2007 when we had some of these early discussions. So certainly longevity for this project, and now over 2,000 deployed instances. So it's a big win and a testament to how useful this is to the R&E community. Well, thanks everybody for joining today. Next week's talk, as Antoine alluded to, is going to be from Mark, and Mark is going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive on how pscheduler works. And for those that are unaware, pscheduler is sort of the main daemon that handles the scheduling of different measurement tools and being able to contribute the results back to the various databases. So it'll be a little bit more of a technical talk, but certainly everybody is welcome to join, and that'll be next week. So hope everybody has a good weekend, and we'll talk to everybody soon.